Hi, my name is Mr. Chang, and welcome to Mendes Fundamentals Back to School Night. I am the seventh grade language arts teacher and the eighth grade AVID teacher, and here to present a little bit about myself and my class. Some basics about me. I have my BA in Classics at UC Irvine and got my teacher's credentials and my master's in education at Azusa Pacific University. I'm married and am the proud parent of an 8-year-old daughter and an 18-year-old son, and both of them are also kind of working through the challenges of distance learning as well. So I can definitely feel for all the parents out there. This is my second career, so I bring a little bit of some outside experience outside of education into the classroom, which hopefully is a good thing for most of our students. Let's first talk about language arts. Our main course that we're using is called StudySync. It's an online app. Your child should have had some experience with that last year, but of course this year it's going to be completely online, and also various outside readings as well that may be assigned. We'll do a lot of writing, obviously, for language arts in terms of expository, narrative, response to literature, persuasive. It's a very writing-heavy kind of course. And we do have vocabulary that we'll be introducing probably a little bit later this month in terms of weekly vocabulary quizzes. We also always have presentations and discussions and various things that come out throughout the course of the week. There will also be a book report. Actually, I'll be assigning a book report before the end of this month. Students have already been assigned a group project, and that's already led to some oral presentations. We'll be doing some debates a little bit later once we get a little bit more used to using the Zoom classroom and once everyone gets more acquainted to it. There will be a research report that will be due at the end of the semester. And there's always an emphasis on critical thinking in my classes. I've always stressed that all students should kind of learn to think critically, learn to use logic and reasoning in terms of working through any sort of problem. For AVID, the reason for AVID, it's dedicated to helping students reach college, whatever college may look like for them. So for some, it's going to be a junior college. For some, it may be a private university or a Cal State or UC school. And we prepare them in middle school and throughout high school. So the AVID curriculum continues on through high school. Since your students are 8th grade AVID students, our hope is that they will want to continue with AVID when they go on to high school at the end of this year. And I know the end of this year sounds kind of far off, but believe it or not, this year will go by pretty quickly, as you can imagine from your previous experiences. In terms of the grading in a class, it's very straightforward. 90% to 100 is an A, 80% to 89% is a B, etc. I do tend to round up. So, for example, if a student has an 89.7%, there's a very, very good chance that he or she will be receiving an A in the class. And I also look at kind of trends. So if I see that a student has kind of turned things around, maybe they got like 3 or 4 Fs in the beginning, but kind of finished really strong, I'll definitely take that in consideration when issuing letter grades. So as pretty literal as this is in terms of the letter grade per percentages, there is some leniency and some subjectivity that goes into it, and that always translates into a higher grade than normal. For ELA, its tests and quizzes are 60%, and classwork and homework is 40%. The tests and quizzes also include essay assignments. And really, for the best thing in that is when you're looking at Aries and you click on the assignment, it'll show you if it's classwork homework or if it's a test quiz, and then you know what category that falls in. The same thing for AVID. For AVID, of course, the breakdown is a little bit different. 40% of the grade is currently with learning logs. 20% are tutorials for those of you who were AVID students last year or in 6th grade. You already know what tutorials are like, and they will be starting probably at the end of this month. Other assignments include just basically it's a catch-all for everything else. So if there's a writing assignment, a presentation, a project, that will go into the other category. So Here's the main change, obviously, since we've gone virtual. Obviously, we don't have like homework or tardy cards since we're not there in person. So generally speaking, my first line of communication is Parent Square notifications. I recommend to all parents, if they haven't already signed up, that they definitely should sign up. Then I'll follow that up later with a phone call or email. Generally, I'll give the students several days to kind of have the work made up. I will always recommend that you go onto Canvas. So you can either sign on as an observer in Canvas. You can ask your son or daughter to log you in, so have them log into their account. And Canvas for all my courses is the entry point. And I'll show you some of the neat things that they have there that you can look at, but you definitely want to look at Canvas. So if you're sitting here kind of wondering what my child is doing in class, I will first start with Canvas and then go forward from there. Now, some of you may be thinking, well, why not Aries? And I'll show you why I would say Canvas first in a moment. Obviously, in terms of tardiness, try to be on time for the students. I know for the earlier classes, sometimes it's difficult, which is rather ironic since we're starting almost an hour later than regular school time. But I know sometimes with these weird schedules, things get kind of thrown off. But definitely try to be on time. I'm not marking students really tardy necessarily. So because I understand that sometimes there's connection problems or logistic problems at home, these things do occur. So generally speaking, if they show up, they'll just be marked present even if they're running late. So here's a copy of the agenda. Now, some things I want you to notice. You'll notice on the top here, it says the week of the August 24th and 28th. So when they log into Canvas, if they scroll down, you'll see the agenda for that entire week. So if you, on the weekend, you're saying, oh, what are you doing in Mr. Chang's class? Once again, you log into Canvas, scroll down, and the third frame is going to show you this in terms of what happened in the past week. You notice that we have the classwork, what actually happens in class, and then the homework that's assigned, including due dates. So you can always check in here in terms of when things are due or what to look for. I always keep an archive of all the old agendas. So if you need me, for example, let's say in October, you're saying, well, Mr. Chang, what was the agenda in August on these dates? I can always give you view capabilities so you can actually view the agenda. I can shoot you a copy. I can email you. So there's a lot of different ways that you can actually see that. So I always keep the old copies handy on my Google Drive. Some student responsibilities. We definitely, I think one of the biggest challenges is to go from a live classroom to a virtual classroom. So you definitely want to be on time, ready to learn. You don't want to be in a situation where you kind of come in the middle as a student and you miss out like maybe on half a class, you're not quite sure what's going on. You definitely want to bring required materials. And what that means is maybe an assignment to work on off to the side, or maybe there's pencil and paper, bring that. And obviously including your Chromebook or your laptop, and that should be charged. There really should be no excuse on that since the student is at home and they have outlets readily available. They definitely want to participate. I know a lot of times it's easy to kind of go, oh, I don't want to say anything. I'm going to turn off my camera and turn off my mic and just let the class go on. And it's an easy day. But I am starting to call on students randomly. So the expectation is they should be focused and prepared to participate. And obviously use appropriate behavior and manners, just like in a classroom. Nothing inappropriate in terms of language, either in the chat or verbally. And in terms of behavior, if your camera's on, obviously we don't want you to see you doing anything that a student won't feel comfortable doing in the classroom. No food or drinks, at least to the point where it's a distraction. Obviously, I can't monitor what's being done at home when you're on Zoom, but you should be keeping in mind that you're going to have a professional attitude. And that leads me to the last one: have a positive attitude. We're all in this together. We're all kind of learning together, learning how to best do a virtual classroom. There's a very good chance that this may be our new normal until the end of this semester. So it's something that's going to be here for us to stay. And, in the future, if God forbid something like this comes up again, we're ready to go. So we're all in this together. We're all learning together. A really key thing is good communication, which we'll talk about a little bit more in a moment. And in terms of if things can't be turned in time or there are problems, I'm always readily available by email. Obviously, I think the main thing on here is, provide a good place for homework and for classwork, for Zoom. Doesn't necessarily have to be a quiet place. Sometimes that quiet place may not be the best place. So you just want them to make sure that they have something they can write on, like even a clipboard or a table or a desk. And obviously a quiet place, or if it's hard to find a quiet place, maybe earphones that you can provide for them so they can focus in on the class. And the key thing for me is, I'm here to challenge and motivate the students. I do regularly communicate with students and with parents, especially with missing assignments or when issues kind of come up, and I'm here. So in terms of assistance, we have office hours. I'll talk more about that a little bit later. And then we also have email addresses where I can be reached, which I'll also talk about more in a little bit. If your child is struggling, so if you see a low grade, don't just sit here and go. A lot of times, parents will say, "What's wrong?" and they'll be like, "Well, it's hard." Go into Aries. I would encourage you to log into Aries, take a look at the assignments. If you click on the class, it'll show all the assignments, and students will find out, oh, the reason why maybe they're getting a D in the class is because they have a missing assignment. So don't simply ask the question, why are you getting this D, and have the child go, oh, I don't know. And then you can always, if you ask me, which you're welcome to do, what I will do is I will show you how to log into Aries. Because one of the first things we want to do is we want to be able to provide you with the tools to be able to access what you need to access to ask the right questions or help better guide your child. We'll talk more about this in terms of office hours, but the office hours are available every morning and every afternoon except for Wednesdays when we have our staff meeting. This week, we also don't have office hours after school because it's a truncated day for teachers because of the fact that we have back to school night on Thursday. I will be having a Pointly up and running, hopefully in about a week or so. So you can also do it by appointment, and there's always online homework help. So these are some upcoming events for AVID. I put TBD because obviously we're kind of in the midst of the pandemic and we're not sure where this thing will end. We do have college site visits and AVID field trips and fundraisers. So once again, just something to kind of keep in mind as we go along. I'm going to skip this because I want to show you the next couple of slides. Right here this is once again, if you look on the left-hand side, this is located on the Canvas course. So we have my office hours. We have my email addresses, which I have it linked actually to my iPhone. So if you ever contact me there, I can normally respond within an hour, hour and a half. This Zoom link is good for all Zoom sessions with me. So if you want to come in for an office hour, simply click on the Zoom link and it'll take you right there. Over here, you notice on this graphic, is also a link to Aries. So if you click on that link, it'll take you to Aries and it'll show you the grade for your child in their class at that moment. So there's a lot of good stuff right here. And once again, this is located on every Canvas course that we have under me. And that, ladies and gentlemen, concludes our presentation. I look forward to seeing you in the Zoom classroom later on tonight.